Hey, warriors. Okay, so I want to talk about something, okay, that sits, I guess, probably in between science, consciousness research, and probably a little bit of mystery, okay? But before I do, I just want to say you can't trust science. You can't trust any of the research, not really, okay? Not fully. And you can't trust the CIA. So, where does it leave us? Because that's what this is about. Okay? The, the deeper you go into some of the declassified consciousness research, the stranger, I guess, like our questions become. Okay, so there's a lot of people online that they reference what they call the CIA healing codes or the gateway process. Okay, and what it is, um well, what the gateway process is, okay, is it specific sections and documents people have broken down into like parts over the years, and there's ones called the healing codes. All right. And let me know too if you want me to go further into, because there is like different parts of these healing codes. Let me know if you want me to go into each one of them deeper. Okay. But what honestly fascinates me, isn't that some government agency supposedly confirmed magic, okay? Like it's kind of being put out by other people, okay? But it is that serious institutions spent time exploring it, consciousness, the altered states, focused awareness meditation, um, things like that, biofeedback. And honestly, and the relationship, between mind and perception. Why'd you spend so much time on that? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, just think about that for a minute, because for decades, you know, mainstream culture mocked these topics, completely, completely, you know, yet behind closed doors, there were people still asking, what is consciousness actually capable of? Why do you want to know that if it's being mocked in the public, right? Because honestly, that question, it still hadn't been answered, even after all this time you spent behind our backs exploring it while laughing in our faces, the people that talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Um, because we know now that science can measure our brain activity, but awareness itself, you know, that remains one of the biggest, I guess, mysteries, if you want to call it that, on damn Earth, you know? Um, so now, people hear phrases like healing codes or like frequency activation, and instantly they either believe everything, others instantly dismiss everything. Uh, and I just personally, I think that both extremes can be traps or can become traps. Do you know what I'm saying? Because there's a major difference, okay, between, curiosity, exploration, possibility, and claiming certainty about things that we still hardly even understand. Do you know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I 100%, you've heard me say before, I believe that we can heal ourselves. For me, I know that I can because I have proven this to myself. I have proven this to my husband, who has watched it happen. Okay? So don't get me wrong here. But, anyways, what interests me, I guess, most is the reoccurring idea found across so many traditions and studies, you know, that focused awareness may influence the body and nervous system more deeply once, you know, once we believe, I guess. Do you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily through magic. It's obviously that when you try to, I don't think these people that are trying to push it out like that realize that they are taking our power away, seriously, you know. um but honestly, you know, through mechanisms that we may not fully understand yet, you know, like stress reduction, um nervous system regulation, things like that. um what about placebo responses, right? I mean, that's freaking huge. Visualization, emotional state, breath. Thanks a lot. Sorry, my cat just knocked over the light again. Last time she knocked it over into a plant. I didn't know it, and she burnt the plant. Anyways, um, but yeah, things like focused intention, you know, and honestly, the whole placebo effect alone, dude, come on, that should humble fucking humanity. I mean, really, because the body responding to belief and expectation, I guess, you know, is already, that's already scientifically fascinating. Do you know what I'm saying? Um, so when I look at these old consciousness documents, dude, I see, you know, I see that even powerful institutions realize that, you know, human consciousness might be far more complex, you know, than current models explain. And to me, that's where we all are right now. And I think that it deserves researching, you know? It's what we're all trying to deal with right now is our consciousness and our awareness. Why not figure it out? You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, they've researched it. They didn't never think to actually do it themselves. They're having other people do it. Do you know what I mean? How dumb is that? Like, why didn't you figure this out on your own, you dumbass? Anyway, sorry, that was really rude. But but yeah, I think, and maybe the biggest mistake people make, honestly, too, is turning exploration into freaking dogma. You know? Either either none of this means anything or this proves everything. First of all, you don't know because you're not diving deep enough into this shit to even know anything to begin with. So why are you pushing it out to the public like it's fact? You know what I mean? And like I said, understanding this specific thing is one of the biggest mysteries out there. So how the hell is everybody putting all these videos out like they're fact every day? Every day I pass videos. Fact, fact, fact. Oh, if you do this, you do that, and blah, 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 blah. You know what? No, you really don't know everything for sure. You only know what you have done. And we're all different. And we're all capable, you know, stronger in different areas. Whatever, you get my point. Anyways, and that is my point. Do you know what I mean? That like the truth might be somewhere in between what everybody's trying to say. I don't know. Because whether some of these ideas, I guess, become, you know, ultimately turn out to be whatever the case, symbolic, psychological, you know, or something else entirely, it doesn't even really matter because the one thing, it is becoming clear. Human awareness still is one of the least understood forces, I guess, in existence. And I just think that that mystery deserves curiosity without the blind belief, without the, you know, blind dismissal, if you will. Just saying, guys. So, anyways, like I said, let me know if you want to hear any more about the different parts of these healing codes. I love you.